think generally we hire because we're trying to scale the business, or that we're doing something that is causing so much pain and frustration that you want to give it to someone else. They're probably generally the two reasons. I think it's difficult to find the right talent anytime. I think it's like, trying to find a partner in life. It's not like you get to a club and there's not like everyone's available. Even though they're available, they're not the right people. So I think looking culturally for the right fit is really challenging. And what's really difficult, especially, is when there's a need for someone quickly and you end up looking to hire the best of a bad bunch. That's the real danger. So you really want to be able to take your time and find the right person for the right business. I've got a process that works 75% of the time, every time. So it's one of those things that you can't get it right every time. You can try to build a process to try to mitigate the challenges that might come. But for me, it's really around four areas. And I keep this with me everywhere when I'm hiring, because it's like, one, we're hiring for values, we're hiring for mindset, we're hiring for capabilities, and we're hiring for hunger. They're the four areas that we're always looking for when we're looking to hire. We go through a company to hire, outsource, or remote talent. And I've found that the people that we've been hiring are super engaged in the business and are really hungry to work for the team. I think maybe it's because we go out of our way to make them feel like they're a part of the team. My EA is from the Philippines, and I can't wait to meet her, and we're talking all the time, and she really feels like she's part of the team. So I think, we've done a really good job with hiring some incredible people remotely. But that only works when you've got a great team here also, because they feel like they're a part of this team. The three non-negotiables that I look for in talent, for sure, is a value fit. I think if you're not aligned with our value system, and it's not about right or wrong, it's just what we value, it's super, super important. I think the other ones, become nice to have almost, right? Like, you want someone that's hungry, you want someone with the right mindset. And so, although we value them massively when we're hiring, and skill, also capability, the values is the one that we really, really prioritize. I think for me, the one thing is that they have to want to be here. If they don't want to be here, what's the point, right? And so I think, you see talented people, I think of sports all the time, like the whole entire league is talented, but it's the people who really want it, the ones that wake up every day with drive, with passion, that know how to work together as a team. They're the ones who win. And so for me, it's really just about making sure that they want to be there. And if they don't want to be there, for me to have the honesty and the curiosity to find out why, to try to push things forward in the right direction. Well, I've got a resume here of someone I'm actually about to interview. I guess for me, when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at one of the things is how it's all formatted. Being a designer, I think for me, it's like the design shows me how they communicate. So whether they communicate clearly, whether they over-communicate, whether they're very vague, whether they're objective focused, or are they task focused. So all of that can be easily seen here. One of the big ones I also look at is how long they've stayed at businesses for. So if they've only stayed at a business for 1 year at a time, they're probably either they are problematic to work with, or the other thing is sometimes that they outgrowing a certain business, but it might mean that they make decisions too fast then, and they accepted a role they shouldn't have. So there's lots of things that you can look to here. And so, definitely, what roles have they taken? Is there a linear path from where they started to where they're ending and the role that they're actually applying for? And very much saying, right, what did you do it's great to tell me where you worked, but what are you telling me about when you worked there? Are you telling me the task that you did, or are you telling me what you achieved? And for me, that's the biggest flag. So what you're communicating and how long you've been there is the biggest things. Anything else interesting I find? Yeah, I think there's many things that can tell you a little bit about their personality. When someone puts their interest as an example, it shows that they're open and willing to talk about who they are, and they've probably got some personality. If it's very dry, I've seen many where it just looks like a Word document, and they tend to not go that well, those meetings with me. But yeah, I mean, this one in particular has got volunteer work as an example. And so they obviously value that because there's a lot of people that do volunteer work but don't put on their resume. So this person values that. They've also got several achievements here. So it's not just about work. So it shows me how this person communicates. There's a bit of color. It's a single page. They don't have a comment that says references available upon request. You don't need to write that. Like, if I'm going to ask you, you can just tell me on the day. So I think there's a lot of things here that this person has considered, which is good. My thing here is this person has only worked at any one place for maximum a year. So that would definitely be my curiosity to find out, cool, why have you only stayed here in each place for a year, and what would it take for you to have stayed? Yeah, you take into consideration, because the skill would be, you know, if they've got credibility in a certain company, that would then like be quite high. But if it depends on the role. If they were applying for a design role, then they would still not get past. If they're applying for finance, then you've got to take that into consideration. But yeah, I think for me, when I think of design, I'm thinking about the way they think. So they're clearly communicating what they want to communicate. So it's not about whether it looks nice, it's whether is it in tables? Is it been formatted? Is it really clear for me to understand? Because if not, it means that they might give me verbal diarrhea at all my reports. I don't want to work with someone that's going to be just, you know, giving me shit that's not formatted or not considered. Look, well, it's been a very long time since I applied for a job. But I think when I did apply for jobs back in the day, I had a very high success rate of getting the role. So I actually didn't have to go through many of these, and it may be because of the reason why when I did my resume, I took a lot of time to communicate what I've achieved, to clearly demonstrate it in a very clear way for it to look, you know, well presented. And so, yeah, I think for me, it was very often if I went for a job, I got the job, which is fortunate. But I think it's because of the thinking that went behind the resume, how I present, how I communicate, objectives and tasks, not just one or the other. I would take in someone's recommendation very highly over someone that I haven't met before. So most of the good people that I've hired have come through a recommendation. There are times where that's not the case, for sure. But generally, if it doesn't come from someone that I've known, then you just got to dig a little bit deeper to really understand who they are, why they're here. And that's when you start looking at, okay, what are the companies they've worked for? Is there good brand alignment, value alignment? Yeah, I think it's like when someone recommends them, you've almost got to do a little bit less work on the values, because someone's already said they're a good person. And if you trust the person that's recommending them, a lot of the heavy lifting's done. Now you're just looking for, do they want to be here? And do they have the right skill set? I think if I was to give advice to someone looking for jobs at the moment, it would really just be like, be clear on what you want, right? Like, just because the jobs that are available aren't only the jobs that are actually being advertised, right? Like, so the very last job that I ever got, there was no job available. I called up the head office and said, my wife's pregnant. I've started a shoe brand, it's doing really well, but I think I'm going to need a job. Would you be interested in having a chat? And that's literally how I got the job. And they end up becoming my business partners for the next 2 years in Rolly. So I think the lesson there is that, you know, just because there's no job ad doesn't mean there's no opportunity. So if you can clearly communicate your value, most companies will try to find a way to get you in the business. We only hire people who want to be here. I think that's the thing. Like, for me, if you want to be here, we've already done the value. We've already done the assessment of values, capability, mindset, and hunger, right? So we have a framework, but the framework doesn't say whether whether that person really wants to be here and is ready to do the work, right? Like, once again, if you think about sports, there's number one draft picks that don't become the best players in the world. Why? Right? They had the skill set at one point, people saw the talent, but they didn't have the drive. And so I think players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they just had a different level of hunger. They wanted to be there, they wanted to win. And sort of that's the difference, that makes the difference. And the piece of paper is the ticket to the interview. That's all it is. I never hire off a resume. The resume gave you the chance to meet me, for me to sit there and answer your questions, to probe whether the resume makes sense, whether it's accurate, because people lie on resumes all the time. And so really, this is just about saying, right, you're here now, prove to me that you're the right person for the role. And I'm always making sure, does that person want to be here? Right? Because generally what you'll find is a lot of people are trying to convince you that they should be here. I'm trying to understand if they want to be here. Do you want to be here because you need a job, or do you want to be here because this is the right place for you to work?